Comment where you're watching from today. Sometimes the most profound moments of connection happen in the most unexpected places. This is the story of how a chance encounter between a legend and his biggest fan led to an unforgettable moment of raw emotion that neither of them saw coming. On a quiet Tuesday morning in Los Angeles, Wesley Paul stood before the mirror in his small apartment bathroom, carefully applying ointment to the fresh tattoo that covered most of his left shoulder blade. The still tender skin bore the pristine image of Kobe Bryant's face, every detail meticulously rendered by one of LA's top tattoo artists. It had taken 17 hours spread across 3 sessions, cost nearly all of his savings, and drawn concerned looks from his family. But Wesley didn't care. To him, it was more than just ink on skin, it was a testament to how one person's example could change a life. 10 years earlier, Wesley had been a troubled teenager, raised by his grandmother after losing both parents in a car accident. He spent his days getting into fights, skipping school, and doing everything he could to numb the pain of his loss. But then one day, his grandmother Patricia Vincent had scraped together enough money to buy him a ticket to a Lakers game for his 16th birthday. It wasn't courtside, they were in the nosebleeds, so high up that the players looked like ants, but that night changed everything. Wesley watched as Kobe played through an injury, refusing to leave the game despite obvious pain, leading his team to victory through sheer determination. After the game, Wesley had gone home and looked up everything he could about Kobe's famous Mamba mentality. He learned about the pre-dawn workouts, the relentless drive for improvement, the unwavering focus on goals. Slowly, he began applying these principles to his own life. Now, at 26, Wesley had transformed himself. He'd graduated from community college, started his own small business detailing cars, and was taking night classes in business administration. Every morning, he woke up at 4 a.m. to work out, just like Kobe used to do. Every decision, every moment of doubt, was met with the question, what would the Mamba mentality say about this? The tattoo had been his way of honoring the impact Kobe had on his life, though he knew some people thought it was excessive. His grandmother, now in her 70s, had simply shaken her head when she saw it, though her eyes had softened when he explained why he'd done it. Sometimes, she'd said, the people who save us never know they did it. Wesley worked through his morning routine, carefully putting on a loose-fitting shirt that wouldn't irritate the fresh ink. He had a full day of appointments ahead, 5 cars to detail, including a luxury vehicle belonging to someone connected to the Lakers organization. His small mobile detailing business, Mamba Shine, was slowly building a reputation for obsessive attention to detail and unwavering standards. As he loaded his supplies into his van, his phone buzzed with a text from his friend Zachary Palmer, who worked security at the Lakers practice facility. "You're not going to believe this," the message read. "The GOAT is going to be at the facility today. Some kind of private workout with the team." Wesley's heart skipped a beat. He knew exactly who Zachary meant by the GOAT. There was only one person it could be. But he pushed the thought aside. He had work to do, appointments to keep. The Mamba mentality wasn't about chasing idols, it was about focusing on your goals and putting in the work. The morning passed in a blur of wax and polish, each car receiving the same meticulous attention regardless of its make or model. Wesley had just finished his 4th appointment when he got another text from Zachary. "Bro, you need to get down here. Trust me." Wesley glanced at his schedule. His last appointment of the day was actually at the practice facility, a team executive's car that needed detailing. He'd been planning to arrive later, but maybe. No, he thought. Stay focused. Don't get distracted by fanboy moments. But then another text came through. "He's asking about you." Wesley's hands trembled as he read the message again. Kobe Bryant was asking about him? That couldn't be right. But Zachary's next message explained. Someone showed him a picture of your tattoo. He wants to see it in person. Says he's never seen anything like it. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Wesley sat in his van, trying to steady his breathing. For 10 years, Kobe's example had guided his life, helped him find purpose, helped him become someone his parents would have been proud of. And now, through some twist of fate, he might actually get to tell him that. He called his last client of the day, explaining the situation and asking if he could come early. To his relief, they agreed. 20 minutes later, he pulled into the practice facility's parking lot, his heart pounding so hard he could barely hear anything else. Zachary met him at the security entrance, grinning from ear to ear. "You're not going to believe this, man." He saw the picture on Instagram, someone tagged him in it. He's been telling everyone it's the most detailed portrait tattoo he's ever seen. As they walked through the facility's corridors, Wesley felt like he was floating. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. He'd dreamed about meeting Kobe countless times, imagined all the things he'd say about how the Mamba mentality had changed his life. But now that it might actually happen, his mind was blank. They turned a corner, and there he was. Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba himself, was standing with a small group of people looking at something on a phone. He looked up as they approached, and his eyes immediately locked onto Wesley. "You must be the guy with the tattoo," Kobe said, his voice carrying that familiar intensity that Wesley had heard in countless interviews. "Let's see it." With trembling hands, Wesley carefully removed his shirt, turning to show the portrait that covered his shoulder blade. The room fell silent. Wesley could feel Kobe's eyes studying every detail of the artwork. "This is incredible," Kobe said finally. "The detail, the shading. But why? Why go this far?" Wesley turned back around, meeting his hero's gaze. "Because you saved my life," he said. Simply, his voice thick with emotion. "And I wanted to make sure I never forgot how." The look in Kobe's eyes changed, a flash of something deeper than simple curiosity. "Tell me," he said softly, and for the next few minutes, Wesley told his story. He told Kobe about the lost, angry teenager he'd been, about that night in the nosebleed seats, about how the Mamba mentality had given him a framework for turning his life around. As Wesley spoke, he could see the impact his words were having. Kobe's expression shifted from interest to something more profound, more emotional. By the time Wesley finished, there were tears in both their eyes. "You know," Kobe said, his voice slightly hoarse, "people always talk about legacy in terms of championships, records, numbers. But this is what it's really about. You took something I created to push myself, and you used it to save yourself. That's bigger than any ring, any trophy." What happened next would be captured on phones and shared millions of times across social media. Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, pulled Wesley into a tight hug, both men openly crying. Now, it was a moment of pure, unscripted emotion, a legend coming face to face with the real impact of his life's philosophy. But the story wasn't over. As they pulled apart, Kobe looked at Wesley with that famous intensity. "Your business, Mamba Shine, right? Tell me about it." And so began a conversation that would change Wesley's life all over again, though he didn't know it yet. Have you ever had a moment when you finally got to thank someone who changed your life without knowing it? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the biggest impacts we have on others are the ones we never see coming. The Lakers' practice facility had seen countless moments of basketball history, but that afternoon, it witnessed something different, a connection that went beyond sport. As Wesley Paul sat across from Kobe Bryant in the facility's conference room. He couldn't help but notice how the legend's presence filled the space. But there was something else too, a warmth that most people never got to see behind the Mamba's competitive intensity. "Tell me more about your business," Kobe said, leaning forward. "How did you choose car detailing?" Wesley explained how he'd started small, working out of his grandmother's garage. "I remembered what you said about focusing on the details, about how greatness comes from mastering the smallest things. So I studied everything: paint correction, ceramic coating, interior restoration. I wanted to be the best, even if I was just cleaning cars." Kobe nodded, a smile playing at his corners of his mouth. "That's exactly it. People think the Mamba mentality is just about basketball, but it's about excellence in anything you choose to do." He paused, studying Wesley's face. "How many employees do you have?" "Just me," Wesley admitted. "I've had offers to expand, but I want to maintain the quality. Every car gets my personal attention. Like when I used to stay after practice to shoot 500 jumpers," Kobe said softly. "It's not about how many you do, it's about doing each one perfectly." Their conversation was interrupted by Douglas Lawrence, the Lakers executive whose car Wesley was supposed to detail. "Sorry to interrupt, but my wife needs the car by 6. "I'll get right on it." Wesley started to stand, but Kobe held up a hand. "Doug, give him a minute. I want to hear more about his process." For the next hour, Wesley found himself explaining his business philosophy to Kobe Bryant. He talked about his morning routine, his attention to detail, his refusal to cut corners even when it meant making less money. With each detail, he could see Kobe's interest growing. "You know what impresses me?" Kobe said finally. "You didn't just take the Mamba mentality and copy it, you adapted it, made it your own. That's what it's really about. It's not a set of rules, it's a framework for excellence." Wesley felt tears threatening again. "I never thought I'd get to tell you this, but there were so many times when I wanted to give up. Times when the work seemed too hard, when people told me I was crazy for being so obsessive about detailing cars. But then I'd think about your story, about all those pre-dawn workouts, and it would keep me going." Kobe was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. "You know, Wesley, I've seen a lot of tributes over the years. Tattoos, murals, you name it. But what you've done, taking the mentality and using it to build something meaningful, that's the greatest tribute anyone could give." Then Kobe did something unexpected. He pulled out his phone and started making a call. "Hey, Rob," he said, "remember that youth entrepreneurship program we were discussing? I think I found our first success story." Wesley listened in amazement as Kobe Bryant, his childhood hero, began pitching his car detailing business to Rob Pelinka, the Lakers' general manager. This kid took the Mamba mentality and built something special. His attention to detail, his work ethic, it's everything we want to showcase. After hanging up, Kobe turned back to Wesley. "How would you feel about teaching others? Sharing your story with young entrepreneurs?" Wesley could barely speak. I'd be honored. But I'm just a car detailer." "No," Kobe cut him off, his voice firm. "You're someone who understood what it means to pursue excellence. Your medium happens to be cars, just like mine was basketball. But the principle is the same." As they walked out to the parking lot where Douglas Lawrence's car waited, Kobe shared stories from his own journey. He talked about the doubters, the critics who said he shot too much, trained too hard, expected too much from his teammates. "But you know what I learned?" he said. "Excellence makes people uncomfortable. They call it obsession because they don't understand the drive to be great." Wesley nodded, thinking of all the times people had called him crazy for spending hours perfecting a car's finish. My grandmother used to worry that I was working too hard, that I needed to relax more. Patricia Vincent, Kobe said, surprising Wesley by remembering his grandmother's name. The one who bought you that ticket to the Lakers game. She's the real MVP of this story. They reached the car, and Wesley began unloading his equipment with the same precise movements he always used. Kobe watched with evident appreciation as Wesley walked him through his process, explaining how each step built on the last. You see this? Wesley demonstrated a particular buffing technique. It's like your footwork drills. The basic movement has to become second nature before you can perfect it. Exactly, Kobe's eyes lit up. You've taken the fundamental principles and applied them to a completely different field. That's what I always hoped people would do with the Mamba mentality. As Wesley worked, a small crowd gathered to watch. Lakers players, staff members, even the facilities maintenance crew, all drawn by the unusual sight of Kobe Bryant intently observing someone detail a car. But Wesley stayed focused, just as he'd learned from studying Kobe's game tapes. Block out the distractions, stay in the moment, perfect each movement. 3 hours later, Douglas Lawrence's car gleamed like it had just rolled off the showroom floor. Every surface was immaculate, every detail attended to with surgical precision. Kobe ran his hand along the hood, nodding appreciatively. This isn't just car detailing, he said. This is art. This is what happens when someone truly commits to mastery. He turned to the gathered crowd. This is what I've been trying to tell you all. Excellence isn't about what you do, it's about how you do it. But Kobe wasn't done. He pulled Wesley aside one more time. I want you to come to my office tomorrow. There's something we need to discuss. He handed Wesley a business card with an address. 9 a.m. sharp. Mamba mentality, right? Yes, sir, Wesley managed, still struggling to process everything that had happened. As Wesley packed up his equipment, he overheard Kobe talking to Douglas Lawrence. That kid, Kobe was saying, he gets it. He really gets it. And we're going to help him take it to the next level. Driving home that evening, Wesley's mind was spinning. The day had started normally enough. Just another Tuesday, just another set of cars to detail. Now, somehow, he had spent hours with his hero, been praised for his work ethic by the very man who had inspired it, and apparently had some kind of business opportunity waiting for him tomorrow. When he got home, he called his grandmother. Grandma, he said, his voice shaking. Remember that Lakers ticket you bought me 10 years ago? The one you said was too expensive but got anyway? Of course, baby, Patricia's voice was warm with memory. You were so lost back then. I just wanted to give you something to hold on to. Well, Wesley wiped tears from his eyes. I met Kobe today. I told him about that night, about how it changed everything. And Grandma. He wants to help me grow my business. He said, what I'm doing matters. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Patricia spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. You know, Wesley, sometimes God puts exactly the right person in our path. At exactly the right time. 10 years ago, it was Kobe in that basketball game. And now, maybe, it's Kobe again, but in a different way. Wesley looked at the business card in his hand, running his fingers over the embossed Mamba logo. You know what's crazy, Grandma? All those years I spent trying to live up to his example. And it turns out he thinks I'm doing something right too. Have you ever had a mentor or role model validate your path in life? Someone whose approval meant everything? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the greatest gift we can receive is knowing that the people who inspired us see value in what we've become. The next morning, Wesley arrived at Kobe's office building 45 minutes early, his heart racing as he sat in his van gathering his thoughts. The building was sleek and modern, its glass facade reflecting the early morning sun. A few other cars were already in the parking lot. Including a familiar black Mercedes, Kobe was already there. Inside, he was greeted by Kimberly Evans, Kobe's assistant, who smiled warmly. He said you'd be early. Mamba mentality, right? She led Wesley through a corridor decorated with photographs from Kobe's career, not just basketball moments, but images from his business ventures, his Academy Award win, his work with youth programs. Kobe was waiting in a conference room, but he wasn't alone. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM, was there, along with Jordan Campbell, a well-known business consultant, and Miguel Harris, who Wesley recognized as the head of several successful youth programs in LA. Right on time, Kobe said, though Wesley was actually 15 minutes early. Have a seat. We've been talking about you. Over the next 2 hours, Wesley listened as Kobe and his team outlined a vision that took his breath away. They wanted to make Mamba Shine the cornerstone of a new youth entrepreneurship program. The idea was to use Wesley's story and business as a template for teaching young people about excellence, dedication, and the practical application of the Mamba mentality. Here's what we're thinking, Jordan Campbell explained, spreading out some documents. We start with a pilot program. 10 at-risk youth, carefully selected. You'll teach them not just car detailing, but your whole approach to business and excellence. The Lakers organization will provide initial funding and space, Rob Pelinka added. We've got a warehouse facility that's perfect for this. Wesley looked at the papers in front of him, trying to process what he was hearing. But I'm not a teacher. I just detail cars. No, Kobe's voice was firm. You're someone who took a simple job and turned it into an art formed through dedication and hard work. That's exactly what these kids need to see. Miguel Harris nodded. Most youth programs focus on traditional paths, college, corporate jobs. But not everyone connects with that. Some kids need to see that you can find excellence in anything you choose to do. As they discussed the details, Wesley thought about his own journey. What about equipment? Quality tools are expensive. Kobe smiled. Already handled. I've got some friends in the automotive industry who are excited to sponsor this. They'll provide all the equipment and supplies these kids need. And here's the best part, Jordan added. As these young people complete the program, we'll help them set up their own mobile detailing businesses in different parts of the city. A whole network of Mamba Shine franchises, all operating with your standards of excellence. Wesley sat back, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Kobe leaned forward. Remember how you felt as that angry kid in the nosebleeds? There are thousands more just like that out there. But now you can be the one to reach them. The meeting continued as they discussed logistics, timelines, and expectations. Wesley found himself sharing ideas he'd never voiced before, techniques he'd developed, lessons he'd learned, ways of thinking about excellence that had become second nature to him. As the others filed out for a brief break, Kobe held Wesley back. There's something else we need to discuss. He pulled out a folder. This is the evaluation of your business by our financial team. You've built something impressive, but it's just the beginning. Inside the folder was a detailed analysis of Mamba Shine's potential for expansion. With the right backing, Kobe explained, you could be looking at a national brand within 5 years. But more importantly, you could be changing lives. Wesley thought about his grandmother, about how she'd scraped together money for that Lakers ticket all those years ago. Can I ask you something? Why me? Why this business? Kobe was quiet for a moment. You know, everyone talks about the Mamba mentality like it's just about working hard. But it's really about finding your path to excellence and having the courage to follow it all the way. You did that. Most people would have looked at car detailing and seen a dead-end job. You saw an opportunity for mastery. He stood and walked to the window. Yesterday, watching you work on that car, it reminded me of how I used to practice. That same focus, that same attention to detail. You've got the same fire, just in a different arena. Wesley felt tears threatening again. I never thought. I mean, it's just cars. No, Kobe turned back to him. It's never just anything. Excellence isn't about what you do, it's about who you become while doing it. And who you help others become along the way. The door opened and the others returned. The meeting continued with discussion of practical details, legal agreements, training protocols, marketing strategies. But Wesley's mind kept returning to Kobe's words about excellence and becoming. As the meeting wrapped up, Miguel Harris pulled Wesley aside. You know what sold me on this program? The tattoo. Not just because it's impressive artwork, but because it shows how deeply you understood the message. You didn't just admire Kobe, you internalized his philosophy and made it your own. Wesley left the office that afternoon with a thick folder of documents to review and a head spinning with possibilities. But first, he had one stop to make. He drove to his grandmother's small house, where she was sitting on the porch with her friend, Renee Baker. When he told them about the meeting, about the program and the opportunities it presented, both women burst into tears. See? Renee said to Patricia. God always has a plan. All those years you worried about him. And look where his path led. Patricia hugged Wesley tight. Your parents would be so proud, she whispered. Not just of what you're doing, but of who you've become. Later that evening, Wesley received a text from Kobe, making any decisions about the program. Yet, Wesley looked around his small apartment, at the Lakers poster that had hung on his wall for 10 years, at the business cards from Mamba Shine that he'd designed himself, at the certificate from his business administration class. Then he looked in the mirror, at the man he'd become, at the tattoo that had started this whole new chapter. Yes, he texted back. I'm in. Mamba mentality all the way. Kobe's response came quickly, good. Because excellence isn't just about achieving your own dreams. It's about helping others find theirs. Have you ever had someone believe in you so much that it opened up possibilities you never imagined? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the greatest acts of kindness come from someone seeing potential in us that we didn't even see in ourselves. 6 months after that life-changing meeting, the warehouse facility buzzed with activity. 10 young people in black Mamba Shine uniforms worked on various vehicles, each focusing with the same intensity Wesley had shown that day at the Lakers practice facility. Near the entrance, Wesley's grandmother Patricia sat in a comfortable chair, watching with pride as her grandson moved from station to station, offering guidance and encouragement. Among the students was Anthony White, a 17-year-old who reminded Wesley so much of himself at that age. When Anthony had first arrived, he'd been angry, defensive, barely making eye contact. Now he was meticulously working on a paint correction, his face a mask of concentration as he applied the techniques Wesley had taught him. Remember, Wesley said, watching Anthony's technique, it's not about speed. It's about perfection in every movement. Like Kobe's footwork, Anthony replied, not looking up from his work. It had become a common reference point in the program, relating car detailing techniques to basketball fundamentals. The kids connected with it, understanding that excellence was excellence, regardless of the field. The program had exceeded everyone's expectations. Local news had covered its launch, featuring interviews with Wesley and Kobe about their unlikely connection and shared philosophy. Car enthusiasts from across the city were now booking appointments specifically to have their vehicles detailed by the program's students, wanting to support their journey while receiving top-quality service. But the real magic happened in the quiet moments, when Wesley would catch one of his students staying late to perfect a technique, or hear them explaining the importance of preparation to a customer with the same passion he'd developed over the years. Kobe visited regularly, often unannounced, always taking time to talk with each student. Today was one of those days. He walked in wearing casual clothes, but his presence immediately energized the room. The students straightened up, not out of fear but out of respect and a desire to show their best work. "Show me what you've got," Kobe said to Anthony, examining the car he was working on. His eyes moved methodically over the surface, noting the precision of the work. "This is beautiful. You're getting that mirror finish just right." Anthony beamed with pride. "Wesley taught us that it's not just about making it look good, it's about doing the work that creates lasting results." Kobe nodded, looking at Wesley. "Sounds familiar." They walked through the facility together, Kobe asking detailed questions about each student's progress. When they reached Patricia's chair, Kobe knelt down beside her. "You know, Mrs. Vincent, this all started with you. That Lakers ticket you bought changed more lives than just Wesley's." Patricia wiped away tears. "I just wanted to give my grandson some hope. I never imagined it would lead to all this." The day's biggest moment came when Jordan Campbell arrived with news about the program's expansion. 5 of the students were ready to start their own mobile detailing businesses, and corporate sponsors had stepped forward to provide them with fully equipped vans. "This is just the beginning," Jordan announced to the gathered group. "We've got interest from other cities wanting to replicate this program. The Mamba Shine Academy could go national within the next year." Wesley listened as Jordan outlined the expansion plans, but his attention was on his students' faces. He saw in them the same fire, the same drive for excellence that had pulled him out of his own dark times. Each of them had their own story, their own struggles, but they'd found purpose in the pursuit of mastery. Later that afternoon, as the students were cleaning up for the day, Kobe pulled Wesley aside. "Remember when you showed me that tattoo? I thought I was just going to see some impressive artwork. Instead, I found someone who truly understood what I've been trying to teach all these years." Wesley touched his shoulder where the tattoo lay beneath his uniform. "Sometimes I still can't believe all this is real. That my hero not only noticed me but helped me create something bigger than myself. That's what legacy is really about," Kobe said, watching the students gather their things. "It's not about what we achieve. It's about what we inspire others to become." Anthony approached them, holding a small package. "Wesley, I wanted to show you something." He unwrapped it to reveal a detailed sketch of a car detailing business logo, his own take on the Mamba Shine concept. "I've been working on this at night, thinking about starting my own shop once I graduate." Wesley examined the design, noting the elements Anthony had incorporated from both the Mamba mentality and the detailing techniques he'd learned. "This is excellent. You're not just copying what we do, you're making it your own. That's what you taught us," Anthony said. "Excellence isn't about imitation. It's about taking what we learn and building something unique." Kobe smiled, hearing his own philosophy reflected back in new ways. "You see?" he said to Wesley. "This is how impact multiplies. Each person adds their own understanding, their own passion, and passes it on." As the day wound down, Wesley gathered his students for their daily reflection, a practice he'd instituted based on Kobe's habit of analyzing game footage. Each student shared what they'd learned, what they were struggling with, and how they planned to improve. Listening to them, Wesley thought about his own journey, from that angry teenager in the nosebleed seats to the mentor he'd become. His grandmother had given him a ticket to a basketball game, but what she'd really given him was a glimpse of what excellence looked like. Kobe had shown him the path, and now he was showing others. After the students left, Wesley and Kobe sat in the quiet facility, surrounded by the tools of the trade that had brought them together. "You know what's amazing?" Wesley said. "These kids don't just learn about detailing cars. They learn about themselves, about what they're capable of." "That's exactly what happened to you," Kobe replied. "You thought you were learning about the Mamba mentality, but you were really discovering your own potential." Patricia, who had stayed to watch the day's end, added her own wisdom. "When I bought that ticket, I prayed it would help Wesley find his way. God answered that prayer, but he did it in a way I never expected." The next day, the program would welcome 10 new students. The cycle would continue. Excellence breeding excellence, each person adding their own chapter to the story. But for now, in the quiet of the evening, 3 people sat together, connected by a tattoo, a philosophy, and the understanding that true greatness lies not in what we achieve, but in how we help others achieve their dreams. Before leaving, Kobe placed a hand on Wesley's shoulder, right over the tattoo. "You know, when people get tattoos of athletes, it's usually about hero worship. But what you did, you turned it into a commitment to excellence. You made it mean something more." Wesley looked around the facility, at the gleaming cars, the carefully organized tools, the inspiring quotes on the walls, some from Kobe, some from the students themselves. "All this," he said, "from one basketball game." "No," Kobe corrected him. "All this from one person deciding to pursue excellence, no matter what anyone else thought. That's the real story here." As they walked out into the evening, Wesley's phone buzzed with a text from Anthony. "Thank you for showing me what's possible. Mamba mentality forever." Have you ever helped someone find their path to excellence? Or has someone helped you find yours? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the greatest legacy we can leave is the excellence we inspire in others.